In our concluding presentation from Revel, Jason Piasecki, Revel partner, talks about setting your rotation. Jason has degrees in marketing and graphic design from Central Michigan University and is the recipient of the 2014 Muskegon Chamber Entrepreneur Award and a Rotary International Paul Harris Fellow. Jason reminds us that without a plan, ideas are just wish lists. Marketing is fun, and future trends must be considered when setting your rotation. Sponsored by the Baker College of Muskegon, Adobe User Group, and Rotaract Club.
Hello, I'm Jason Piasecki. I'm a partner at Revel. I'm going to talk about setting your rotation. And branding, like most things in life, are analogous to sports. Coaching is a big part of my life. This is my son's travel baseball team. So I'm going to bring this back. If you're into sports, you'll really enjoy this. If not, I'll keep you in the whole way regardless. All right. Times have changed. Who would have thought 10 years ago there'd be a thing called a tweet? And professional athletes would be sharing their most profound thoughts with us through this revolutionary new mode of communication. So if this is what we're getting now from our reigning Major League Baseball MVP, just think in 10 years what we're going to have. Probably direct to mind mapping. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So back in the old days, being a media buyer was easy. I mean, come on. How hard would it be to pick one of 3 channels to show a TV commercial on? You're basically competing against I Love Lucy or Bonanza. Well, that was the old days. Today, it's a heck of a lot different. There are literally thousands of channels out there just on television to get our message out there. And that's not to mention other forms of communication that are available that weren't here years ago, streaming services, stuff that didn't even exist. So it's a lot harder nowadays. So how do you effectively connect your message to your audience? Well, like anything, you make a plan. Without a plan, we're lost. A goal without a plan is just a wish. So what are some tips for making a good, concise marketing plan? First of all, have clearly defined goals. So again, this goes back to creating that foundation of your brand and telling your story, generating good content, and putting it together in a way that's very methodical and defined. At Revel, we like to be about results. We like to be about quantifiable measures of our success. Like Don said, your brand is more than a logo. It's more than just a pretty picture. So for example, if your goal was to grow your Facebook likes by 10%, we'd put together a plan that was multifaceted and very connected with that one objective, and we'd look back when we were done to see if we hit the mark. Know your brand. Be consistent with it. Be true to it. Match the message to the medium. If you're an internet service company, you probably don't want your ad showing up next to a file not found error. Maximize your budget. We're all trying to get the most out of our dollar. It would be great if we were Nike or Apple and we had millions of dollars to spend on our marketing. The reality is none of us have that. We need to get the most out of what we have, and we need to be very strategic about where we spend our marketing budgets. Lastly, understand your audience. If you're advertising Barbies, don't be showing your TV spots during The Walking Dead. So now we're going to talk about setting your rotation. So at the beginning of spring training every year, Major League Baseball teams invite hundreds of players down to, in essence, try out for their team. They have 25 or so that are going to end up on the team. The rest are going to be in the minors. Some might get cut. But they've got to pare that down to 5 people that are going to be in their starting rotation. So how do they do that? They find people that are, first of all, the best 5 at that on their team. It's not always the guys that throw the hardest. It's not the ones with the best curveball or the best changeup. It's ones that have the full package. And then they have other people, other pitchers specialize in certain areas. Baseball's so specialized nowadays, they have guys that come in and just pitch the 7th inning. I mean, no one pitches a complete game anymore. So it's coming up with a very targeted, very focused rotation where everyone is doing what they're good at. So we have the same thing with marketing. There's hundreds of channels we can use to get our message out. How do we know which the right ones are? Again, it's very clearly tying that back to our brand, our message, having clearly defined goals, and picking the ones that fit best with all the considerations that we have. We're on the precipice of a cataclysmic, I shouldn't have said that word, that was a tough one. A big change, keep it simple, right? A big change in media. For the first time in the last 50 years, television will not be the dominant medium out there. Digital is set to take over TV in terms of marketing expenditures within the next 3 years. So what does that mean to us as marketers and branding people? Adults are spending almost 3 hours a day on their phone. If you're my 12-year-old daughters, you got it in your hand when you wake up, and it's in your other hand when you go to bed. So they're skewing this. They're probably in about the 16-hour range. So how do we get to people with the messages that are using these types of devices? 3/4 of chief marketing officers think that custom content is the future of marketing. 50% of companies have a content marketing strategy. Do you have a content marketing strategy? 2/3 of companies that blog generate more leads. So what's this all go back to? Like Drew said, content is king. So all of you that are going into a profession and looking what to do, probably the biggest void that we find when we're hiring, when we're looking for people, is writing and good content, people who can generate a great story. It's a lost art. All right, so let's bring it all together. So in an ideal world, you'd be like my friend Grant Hill here. And even the best of basketball players, NCAA champion, 7-time All-Star, almost a 20-year career, you don't look good in teal. Teal is just not a good color for a basketball uniform. So this was the Pistons logo and look and brand in the late 1990s, early 2000s. And they were struggling. They were struggling with attendance. The team wasn't performing. It just wasn't up to snuff with Piston standards. So large companies with a limited budget, they pull out the old marketing textbook, and what do? All those great things that Don talked about that we do when we have unlimited time, resources, a great plan, a client whose expectations are in line with what we need to do as agencies to do a good product. So we start out with research. We do focus groups. We do surveys. We ask people. We poll them. We say, what does the horse mean to you? What is a teal? Does that logo say anything? What about the logos? Would you buy that? And we spend months doing this and hundreds of hours, and it costs a lot of money. And you come back with something great. You have a throwback uniform. It's iconic. It's nostalgic. And it just hits the mark. Well, unfortunately, we don't all live in textbooks. Sometimes we get an opportunity like we had with the Muskegon Fury. About 5 years ago, the president of the Fury came to us and he said, hey, would you guys like to work with us on a new logo? We're like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like sports marketing. It's kind of like sports marketing, beer marketing. Those are kind of like those are the pinnacle of marketing. And so he said, absolutely, sign us up. He's like, okay, well, there's a couple of catches. It's gonna be a tough project. I said, really? I said, well, we're game. Put us in. So the first thing they said is we're changing the team name. We said that's good. So what are you changing it to? So we're changing it back to the Muskegon Lumberjacks. I said, awesome. 50 years of hockey heritage, Turner Cup championships. It's like, that's what I remember going to the LC Walker Arena when I was a kid. It was the Muskegon Lumberjacks. We said, okay, cool. We're on board. We're behind you 100%. I said, well, the other catch is we need the new logo in 2 weeks. Because if we don't have it in 2 weeks, we won't have our uniforms in time for our first game. And we're like, wow, well, 2 weeks is, for anyone who's ever designed a logo or done it for a large scale thing, that's not a lot of time. That's just a fraction of the time you need to do a really good job. But we didn't shy away from that. We said, you came to us, we want to come through for you. We pulled a rabbit out of our hat. We made it work, and we came back with a logo that hit the mark, a new brand, an update on a traditional look, something that had been around for years, with an illustration that was unique to the team, set forth an identity, had that tough, gritty hockey Muskegon feel to it, with their very own font and something that no other team, you're not going to pull that out in clip art somewhere out there. And what does that lead to? It leads to all the things that you see in a campaign. There's billboards, there's signage, there's website, there's promotional material, and like most marketing with clients that'll let you do your thing. It's fun. Not everyone, not for every client are you going to say blood, sweat, and beers, but for a hockey team that lets you do that, that's pretty. It's a pretty fun gig. So we think this is hard. This is complicated. We've been talking here about all these things that you need to do to have a great brand, and how important content is. And writing's hard. I don't know if you guys write. Like, writing is really it's tough to do. It's tough to do well. And then all this stuff with putting it together in a plan, it just seems complicated. Well, it's not really rocket surgery. Really, there's certain things that you can do and keep in mind. And most importantly, thing to keep in mind is to have fun. Now, an ad agency who has someone come to them and say, hey, we're an insurance company. We've been around for 75 years. We're one of the oldest in the country. I want you to design some new ads for us. And we have a name that not many people know, but can you do something that's memorable that people are really talking about? When you have fun, when you go into it, get something like this.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Listen, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
Ronnie, how happy are folks who save hundreds of dollars switching to Geico? I'd say happier than a camel on Wednesday.
Hump day!
Get happy. Get Geico. 15 minutes could save you 50% or more.
All right, so what have we learned? A brand is a belief. Content is king. And marketing is fun. Thank you.